Welcome to the reading of Secret of the Ages by Robert Collier, Volume 2. The Primal Cause. This city, with all its houses, palaces, steam engines, cathedrals, and huge, immeasurable traffic and tumult, what is it but a thought? But millions of thoughts made into one, a huge immeasurable spirit of a thought, embodied in brick, in iron, smoke, dust, palaces, parliaments, coaches, docks, and the rest of it. Not a brick was made, but some man had to think of the making of that brick. Carlyle. For thousands of years, the riddle of the universe has been the question of causation. Did the egg come first, or the chicken? The globe, says an Eastern proverb, rests upon the howdah of an elephant. The elephant stands upon a tortoise, swimming in a sea of milk. But then what? And what is life? As the Persian poet puts it, what without asking, hither hurried whence, and without asking, whither hurried hence? It has been said that every man, consciously or unconsciously, is either a materialist or an idealist. Certainly, throughout the ages, the schools of psychology, of philosophy, as well as individuals, have argued and quarreled, but always human thought, through one or the other of these channels, has rolled down the hill of speculation into the ocean of doubt. The materialist, roughly speaking, declares that nothing exists but matter and the forces inherent therein. The idealist declares that all is mind or energy, and that matter is necessarily unreal. The time has come when people have become dissatisfied with these unceasing theories which get them nowhere. And today, as the appreciation of a primal cause becomes more clearly defined, the spiritual instinct asserts itself determinedly. Give me a base of support, says Archimedes, and with a lever I will move the world. And the base of support is that all started with mind. In the beginning was nothing, a fire mist. Before anything could come of it, there had to be an idea, a model on which to build. Universal mind supplied that idea, that model. Therefore, the primal cause is mind. Everything must start with an idea. Every event, every condition, everything is first an idea in the mind of someone. Before you start to build a house, you draw up a plan of it. You make an exact blueprint of that plan, and your house takes shape in accordance with your blueprint. Every material object takes form in the same way. Mind draws the plan. Thought forms the blueprint, well drawn or badly done, as your thoughts are clear or vague. It all goes back to the one cause. The creative principle of the universe is mind, and thought is the eternal energy. But just as the effort you get from electricity depends upon the mechanism to which the power is attached, so the effects you get from mind depend upon the way you use it. We are all of us dynamos. The power is there, unlimited power. but we have got to connect it up to something, set it some task, give it work to do, else we are no better off than the animals. The seven wonders of the world were built by men with few of the opportunities or facilities that are available to you. They conceived these gigantic projects first in their own minds, pictured them so vividly that their subconscious minds came to their aid and enabled them to overcome obstacles that most of us would regard as insurmountable. Imagine the pyramids of Gizeh, enormous stone upon enormous stone with nothing but bare hands. Imagine the labor, the sweat, the heartbreaking toil of erecting the colossus of Rhodes, between whose legs a ship could pass. Yet men built these wonders in a day when tools were of the crudest and machinery was undreamed of, by using the unlimited power of mind. Mind is creative, but it must have a model on which to work. It must have thoughts to supply the power. There are in universal mind ideas for millions of wonders greater far than seven wonders of the world. And those ideas are just as available to you as they were to the artisans of old, as they were to Michelangelo when he built St. Peter's in Rome, as they were to the architects who conceived the Woolworth building, or the engineer who planned the Hellgate Bridge. Every condition, every experience of life is the result of our mental attitude. We can do only what we think we can do. We can be only what we think we can be. We can have only what we think we can have. What we do, what we are, and what we have all depend upon what we think. We can never express anything that we do not first have in mind. The secret of all power, all success, all riches is in first thinking powerful thoughts, successful thoughts, thoughts of wealth, of supply. We must build them in our own mind first. William James, the famous psychologist, said that the greatest discovery in 100 years was the discovery of the power of the subconscious mind. It is the greatest discovery of all time. It is the discovery that man has within himself the power to control his surroundings, that he is not at the mercy of chance or luck, that he is the arbiter of his own fortunes, that he can carve out his own destiny. He is the master of all the forces round about him, as James Allen puts it. Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so shall you become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you shall at last unveil. For what is in the ultimate but a product of thought? Even the most material scientists admit that matter is not what it appears to be. According to physics, matter, be it the human body or a log of wood, it makes no difference which is made up of an aggregate aggregation of distinct, minute particles called atoms. Considered individually, these atoms are so small that they can be seen only with the aid of a powerful microscope, if at all. Matter, dream or reality. Until recently, these atoms were supposed to be the ultimate theory regarding matter. We ourselves and all the material world around us were supposed to consist of these infinitesimal particles of matter, so small that they could not be seen or weighed or smelled or touched individually, but still particles of matter and indestructible. Now, however, these atoms have been further analyzed, and physics tells us that they are not indestructible at all, that they are mere positive and negative buttons of energy, of force, energy or force called protons and electrons, without hardness, without density, without solidity, without even positive actuality. In short, they are vortices in the ether, whirling bits of energy, dynamic, never static, pulsating with life. But the life is spiritual, as one eminent British scientist put it. Science now explains matter by explaining it away. And that mind you, is what the solid table in front of you is made of, is what your house, your body, the whole world is made of, whirling bits of energy. To quote the New York Herald Tribune of March 11, 1926, we used to believe that the universe was composed of an unknown number of different kinds of matter, one kind for each chemical element. The discovery of a new element had all the interest of the unexpected. It might turn out to be anything, to have an imaginable set of properties. That romantic prospect no longer exists. We know now that instead of many ultimate kinds of matter, there are only two kinds. Both of these are really kinds of electricity. One is negative electricity, being in fact the tiny particle called the electron, familiar to radio fans as one of the particles, vast swarms of which operate radio vacuum tubes. The other kind of electricity is positive electricity. Its ultimate particles are called protons. From these protons and electrons, all of the chemical elements are built up. Iron and lead, and oxygen, and gold, and all the others differ from one another merely in the number and arrangement of the electrons and protons which they contain. That is the modern idea of the nature of matter. Matter is really nothing but electricity. Can you wonder then that scientists believe the time will come when mankind through mind can control all this energy? Can be absolute master of the winds and the waves? Can literally follow the master's precept? If ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. For modern science is coming more and more to the belief that what we call matter is a force subject wholly to the control of mind. How tremendous, how tenuous matter really is perhaps best illustrated by the fact that a single violin string tuned to the proper pitch can start a vibration that would shake down the Brooklyn Bridge. Oceans and mountains, rocks and iron, all can be reduced to a point little short of the purely spiritual. Your body is 85% water, 15% ash and phosphorus, and they in turn can be dissipated into gas and vapor. Where do we go from there? Is not the answer that, to a great degree at least, and perhaps altogether, this world round about us is one of our mind's own creating, and that we can put into it and get from it pretty much what we wish? You see this illustrated every day. A panorama is spread before you. To you, it is a beautiful picture. To another, it appears a mere collection of rocks and trees. A girl comes out to meet you. To you, she is the embodiment of loveliness. To another, that all that grace and beauty may look drab and homely. A moonlit garden with its fragrant odors and dew-drenched grass may mean all that is charming to you, while to another it brings only thoughts of asthma or fever or rheumatism. A color may be green to you, that to another is red. The prospect may be inviting for you, that another is rugged and hard. To quote Applied Psychology by Warren Hilton, the same stimulus acting on different organs of sense will produce different sensations. A blow upon the eye will cause you to see stars. A similar blow upon the ear will cause you to hear an explosive sound. In other words, the vibratory effect of a touch on eye or ear is the same as that of light or sound vibrations. The notion you may form of any object in the outer world depends solely upon what part of your brain happens to be connected with that particular nerve end that achieves an impression from the object. You see the sun without being able to hear it, because the only nerve ends tuned to vibrate in harmony with the ether waves set in motion by the sun are nerve ends that are connected with the brain center devoted to sight. If, say Professor James, we could splice the outer extremities of our optic nerves to our ears and those of our auditory nerves to our eyes, we should hear the lightning and see the thunder, see the symphony and hear the conductor's movements. In other words, the kind of impressions we receive from the world about us, the sort of mental pictures we form concerning it, in fact, the character of the outer world, the nature of the environment in which our lives are cast, all these things depend for each one of us simply upon how he happens to be put together, upon his individual mental makeup. In short, it all comes back to the old fable of the three blind men and the elephant. To the one who caught hold of his leg, the elephant was like a tree. To the one who felt of his side, the elephant was like a wall. To the one who seized his tail, the elephant was like a rope. The world is to each one of us, the world of his individual perceptions. You are like a radio receiving station. Every moment, thousands of impressions are reaching you. You can tune in on whatever ones you like, on joy or sorrow, on success or failure, on optimism or fear. You can select the particular impressions that will best serve you. You can hear only what you want to hear. You can shut out all disagreeable thoughts and sounds and experiences, or you can tune in on discouragement and failure and despair. Yours is the choice. You have within you a force against which the whole world is powerless. By using it, you can make what you will of life and of your surroundings. But, you will say, objects themselves do not change. It is merely the difference in the way you look at them. Perhaps, but to a great extent at least, we find what we look for, just as when we turn the dial on the radio, we tune in on whatever kind of entertainment or instruction we may wish to hear. And who can say that it is not our thoughts that put it there? Who, for the matter of that, can prove that our surroundings in waking hours are not as much the creative creature of our minds as are our dreams? You have had dreams many a time where every object seems just as real as when you were awake. You have felt of the objects, you have pinched yourself, yet still you were convinced that you were actually living those dreams. May not your waking existence be largely the creation of your own mind, just as your dream pictures are? Many scientists believe that it is, and that in proportion as you try to put into your surroundings the good things you desire, rather than the evil ones you fear, you will find those good things. Certain it is that you can do this with your own body, just as certain that many people are doing it with the good things of life. They have risen above the conception of life in which matter is the master. Just as the most powerful forces in nature are the invisible ones, heat, light, air, electricity, so the most powerful forces of men are his invisible forces, his thought force. And just as electricity can fuse stone and iron, so can your thought forces control your body. So can they make or mar your destiny. the philosopher's charm. There was once a shrewd necromancer who told a king that he had discovered a way to make gold out of sand. Naturally, the king was interested and offered him great rewards for his secret. The necromancer explained his process. It seemed quite easy, except for one thing. Not once during the operation must the king think of the word abracadabra. If he did, the charm was broken and the gold would not come. The king tried and tried to follow the directions, but he could not keep the word abracadabra out of his mind, and he never made the gold. Dr. Winbiggle puts the same idea in another way. Inspiration, genius, power are often interfered with by the conscious mind's interposing, by man's failing to recognize his power, afraid to assist himself, lacking the faith in himself necessary to stimulate the subconscious so as to arouse the genius asleep in each. From childhood on, we are assured on every hand by scientists, by philosophers, by our religious teachers, that ours is the earth and the fullness thereof. Beginning with the first chapter of Genesis, we are told that God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and every living thing that moveth upon the earth." All through the Old and the New Testament, we are repeatedly adjured to use these God-given powers. "He that believeth on me," said Yeshua, "the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say upon this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that these things which he said shall come to pass, he shall have whatever he saith. The kingdom of God is within you." We hear all this. Perhaps we even think we believe, but always, when the time comes to use these God-given talents, there is the doubt in our heart. Baldwin expressed it clearly. To be ambitious for wealth, and yet always expecting to be poor, to be always doubting your ability to get what you long for, is like trying to reach east by traveling west. There is no philosophy which will help a man to succeed when he is always doubting his ability to do so, and thus attracting failure. You will go in the direction in which you face. There is a saying that every time the sheep bleats, it loses a mouthful of hay. Every time you allow yourself to complain of your lot, to say, "I am poor, I can never do what others do, I shall never be rich, I have not the ability to others that others have," and so forth, you are laying up so much trouble for yourself. No matter how hard you may work for success, if your thought is saturated with the fear of failure, It will kill your efforts, neutralize your endeavors, and make success impossible. And that is responsible for all our failures. We are like the old lady who decided she wanted the hill behind her house removed. So she got down on her knees and prayed the good Lord to remove it. The next morning she got up and hurried to the window. The hill was still in its same old place. I knew it, she snapped. I gave him his chance, but I knew all the time there was nothing to this prayer business. Neither is there, as it is ordinarily done. Prayer is not a mere asking of favors. Prayer is not a paying of praise. Rather, prayer is a realization of the God power within you, of your right of dominion over your own body, your environment, your business, your health, your prosperity. It is an understanding that you are heir of God and co-heir with Christ, and that as such no evil has power over you, whereas you have all power for good, and good means not merely holiness. Good means happiness, the happiness of everyday people. Good means everything that is good in this world of ours, comforts and pleasures and prosperity for ourselves, health and happiness for those dependent upon us. There are no limits to good except those we put upon ourselves. What was it that made Napoleon the greatest conqueror of his day? Primarily, his magnificent faith in Napoleon. He had a sublime belief in his destiny, an absolute confidence that the obstacle was not made which Napoleon could not find a way through, and or over or around. It was only when he lost his confidence, when he hesitated and vacillated for weeks between retreat and advance, that winter caught him in Moscow and ended his dreams of world empire. Fate gave him every chance first. The winter snow were a full month late in coming, but Napoleon hesitated and was lost. It was not the snows that defeated him. It was not the Russians. It was his loss of faith in himself. The kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Heaven is not some far away state, the reward of your years of tribulation here. Heaven is right here and now. When Christ said that heaven was within us, he meant just what he said, that the power for happiness, for good, for everything we need of life is within each one of us. That most of us fail to realize this heaven, that many are sickly and suffering, that more are ground down by poverty and worry, is no fault of his. He gave us the power to overcome these evils. He stands ready and waiting to help us use it. If we fail to find the way, that fault is ours. To enjoy the heaven that is within us, to begin here and now, to live the life eternal, takes only a fuller understanding of the power that is within us. Even now, with the limited knowledge at our command, we can control circumstances to the point of making the world without an expression of our own world within, where the real thoughts, the real power resides. Through this world within you, you can find the solution of every problem, the cause for every effect. Discover it, and all power, all possession is within your control. For the world without is but a reflection of that world within. Your thought creates the conditions your mind images. Keep before your mind's eye the image of all you want to be, and you will see it reflected in the world without. Think abundance, feel abundance, believe abundance, and you will find that as you think and feel and believe, abundance will manifest itself in your daily life. But let fear and worry be your mental companions. Thoughts of poverty and limitation dwell in your mind, and worry and fear. Limitations and poverty will be your constant companions day and night. Your mental concept is all that matters. Its relation to matter is that of idea and form. There has got to be an idea before it can take form, as Dr. Terry Walter says. The impressions that enter the subconscious form indelible pictures. The impressions that enter the subconscious mind, the subconscious form indelible pictures which are never forgotten, and whose power can change the body, mind, matter, and morals, can, in effect, revolutionize a personality. All during our waking hours, the conscious mind, through the five senses, acts as constant feeder to the subconscious. The senses are the temporal source of supply for the content of the soul mind. Therefore, it is most important that we know and realize definitely and explicitly that every time we think a thought or feel an emotion, we are adding to the content of this powerful mind, good or bad, as the case may be. Life will be richer or poorer for the thoughts and deeds of today. Your thoughts supply you with limitless energy, which will take whatever form your mind demands. The thoughts are the mold which crystallizes this energy into good or ill, according to the form you impress upon it. You are free to choose which, but whatever you choose, the result is sure. Thoughts are of wealth, of power, of success, can bring only results commensurate with your idea of them. Thoughts of poverty and lack can bring only limitation and trouble. A radical doctrine, you'll say, and think me wildly optimistic. Because the world has been taught for so long to think that some must be rich and some poor, that trials and tribulations are our lot, that this is at best a vale of tears. The history of the race shows that what is considered to be the learning of one age is ignorance to the next. Dr. Edwin E. Soloson, editor of the Science Service, speaking of the popular tendency to fight against new ideas merely because they were new, said, "All through the history of science, we find that new ideas have to force their way into the common mind in disguise, as though they were burglars instead of benefactors of the race." And Emerson wrote, "The virtue in the most request is conformity. Self-reliance is its aversion. It loves not realities and creators, but names and customs. In the ages to come, man will look back upon the poverty and wretchedness of so many millions today and think how foolish we were not to take advantage of the abundance all about us. Look at nature, how profuse she is in everything. Do you suppose the mind that imaged that profuseness ever intended you to be limited, to have to scrimp and save in order to eke out a bare existence? There are hundreds of millions of stars in the heavens. Do you suppose the mind which could bring into being worlds without number in such prodigality intended to stint you of the few things necessary to your happiness? What is money but a mere idea of mind, a token of exchange? The paper money you have in your pockets is supposed to represent so much gold or silver currency. There are billions upon billions of this paper money in circulation. Yet, all the gold in the world amounts to only about 8 billion. Wealth is in ideas, not in money or property. You can control those ideas through mind, reduced to the ultimate, to the atom or to the electron. Everything in this world is an idea of mind. All of it has been brought together through mind. If we can change the things we want back into mental images, we can multiply them as often as we like, possess all that we like. And we'll stop here for today, and we'll pick up the reading of Secret of the Ages, Volume 2, and we pick up at page 107. Thank you for listening, and be strong and of good courage. See you next time.